Hi, welcome to Caregiver Cast. I'm Elaine Petrucci, your host. My guest today is Judy Osuna, who will be talking about daycare for Alzheimer's. So before I formally introduce Judy to you, I'm just going to give you some background information about her. Judy serves as the Community Outreach and Education Manager at Alzheimer's Family Center in Huntington Beach. She's also a staff minister at Vita Spiritual Learning Center. Judy is an innovative speaker, a motivating educator, and an empathetic support group leader. Judy is the author of You Do Not Have to Be Behind Bars to Be in Prison. You Are Your Key to Freedom. Welcome, Judy, to Caregiver Cast.
Thank you very much, Mary Elaine. It's a pleasure to be here.
When we spoke, a lot of people in the audience, some caregivers may not understand that there is a resource in the community, which is an adult daycare center for their loved one with Alzheimer's. Can you explain a little bit more about why they started a specific adult daycare program for patients with Alzheimer's, and what activities are you involved there?
Thank you. So yes, I can talk a little bit about the adult day healthcare. I can speak from my experience with our particular facility located in Huntington Beach. And Alzheimer's Family Center is dementia specific. So to come to our facility, you have to have a diagnosis of some form of dementia or cognitive impairment.
Okay.
And it was created because there's a growing concern of the aging community and the health and well-being of their cognition, their brain.
Mm-hmm.
So we started out 40 years ago, and pre-COVID, we were having approximately 100 patients, 105 patients a day. Post-COVID, we have about 35, 40. We're building back up now that the COVID cases have gone down.
Mm-hmm.
But the adult day healthcare is a wonderful respite for the caregiver. It's a wonderful socialization for the patient that has Alzheimer's or some dementia.
Mm-hmm.
So we're open Monday through Friday. And right now we're doing 9:30 to 2:30, but we're building back up to 7:30 to 5:30 as you know, as we enter back into the allowing people to go in and interact or socialize with one another.
Mm-hmm.
But we are creating an environment that is safe, social, fun, and supportive to the Alzheimer's patient. So what that means is when they get there in the morning, they get a light breakfast, they get a lunch, and they get a snack throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
But they can also have PT, OT, cognitive exercises, games, and socialization. We want to keep your loved one engaged. Our tagline or motto is we want to create happier and healthier lives.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing this to engage the person that attends our adult daycare, but we're also doing it to create respite for the caregiver. It's important that the caregiver gets time to take care of their daily needs as well,
Mm-hmm.
because stress will make you feel like you're getting Alzheimer's, and taking on too much can also not be good for your health physically and mentally and emotionally. So we're wanting to provide something. Now, Mary Elaine, there's in Orange County,
Mm-hmm.
they say there's 84,000 people that have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
You're kidding. Wow.
There's only 18, that at my last count, 18 adult daycares. Collectively, we can only take care of right around 1,000 people, maybe 1,500.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what they're doing now that they're opening back up after COVID. But we, out of all of those, are the only dementia-specific adult day health care. So we can provide the patient with medication. If they're taking that, we can help them take that. Where the other adult daycares are more of a social environment. So to answer your question, you know, that's what an adult daycare is. It's a place to drop your loved one off during the day, pick them up in the evening. We've only got one bed at our facility, and that is to give somebody a place to rest while we see what further care they might need if they're not feeling well. But we come in the morning, go home in the evening. And again, we're the only dementia specific that I'm aware of in Orange County. What I would recommend to anyone taking care of somebody that has Alzheimer's is to connect with their local senior center and ask them for their resource list, or to call Alzheimer's Association National and ask them for support in their area.
Okay. Do you have any understanding as to why there aren't more dementia-specific adult daycare centers in your community?
Well, in any community,
Well, that's true.
yes. Throughout the
point.
United States, there just aren't that many adult daycares. And, you know, I've heard different things over my years working with an Alzheimer's patient, but mainly need drives demand. So as the seniors get older, I mean, we've got more centenarians on the planet now than ever before recorded in history.
You're right.
So we've just now having the opportunity to see the aging brain and how to best support it. So I'm thinking that as you see more memory care facilities and assisted livings, because the human are living longer, they have their own needs that we have to fulfill. And
Most
they
definitely.
only expect it to double, I think, by 2030. So
We don't have much time to get caught up, do we?
We do the best we can as we go. Yes.
So in this dementia specific adult daycare center, you mentioned doing some cognitive tasks and socialization. And I do appreciate that because my mother had Alzheimer's and she did attend an adult daycare center twice a week, just to get her to socialize with her peers. So can you give us some idea if you have like a structured cognitive program that you utilize in your adult daycare center?
We have regularly scheduled classes for every day of the week. And it could be the cognitive exercises we do are very simple. Well, sometimes they're simple. I've given them to my friends to do and they go, man, this is hard. And the Alzheimer's patient is supposed to do this. It's just amazing how some people are better at spatial, some people are better at numbers, some people are better at word find, but all of it is better for the brain to do something. So any Sudoku, any crossword puzzle, any cognitively challenging exercise you can do, always be learning, laughing. It helps you live longer and healthier. So we have the cognitive classes, we have exercise classes, we have art classes, we have history, classes, where were you when, and or discussions on what in what period in history on this date did anything significant happen for you, and we discuss birthdays, history, weddings, whatever might come up for the
Okay.
people that are doing that activity. We just have a lot of games, simple games. We have a game that we do just for men, just for women, and then together, just to create a little bit of variety, because you don't know what the individual is most comfortable participating with.
Right.
But we do everything we
Okay.
can to engage them, to keep them engaged. So
That is-
exercising the body,
Yes.
exercising the socialization, exercising the mind, and watching and giving, feedback, positive feedback when they participate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It sounds like an incredible program. So as a reverend, how does your role, I guess, fit into this adult daycare center for these patients with dementia?
Well, I do have a heart for the patients and for the families that are taking care of the patients. My minister's license was not considered when I was hired at Alzheimer's Family Center.
Okay.
I actually was doing that to become a hospice chaplain. And what I found is that I cry too much. So I do better with supporting people on the process. So I do lead a support group, a caregiver support group on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:00. You can join us by Zoom. That's open to anybody. We have a lady from North Carolina that joins us. And so it's open to anybody. But my role as a minister is I get to work with the interfaith groups. I get to be present to people in need. It always shows up. I don't need to tell them I'm a minister to show compassion and care. But, I do lead with that. At least I hope I do.
Oh, I'm sure that you do, Judy.
Thank you.
So in addition to contacting a senior center for like resources in the community or the Alzheimer's Association, how does one, I guess, I don't want to necessarily use this word, but judge an adult daycare center versus another one? I mean, how do they compare them? That's a better word.
Well, my hope is that they're all doing a wonderful job. For me, I used to judge that if I went in and I could smell something, I used to think, oh, they're not keeping it clean. But after working for a long time with seniors that have been diagnosed with some form of dementia, they don't always know or can communicate they need to go to the bathroom.
Right.
So please do not let that discourage you. It could be them responding to something that happened. Unfortunately, you can't gauge that. I would look at Yelp. I would look at their history. I would come prepared to ask questions and see how they best support you. If your loved one has Alzheimer's or dementia, for me, the closer geographically they are so that they're not spending so much time in the car traveling, the better. Because I think that would work. Also ask them, like you're asking me, what can I expect from the daily activities? What's your ratio to participants at the center to staff? What are the hours? What are your procedures? And interview them like they interview you to see if you're a good fit for them as well.
Okay, those are great questions. Is there, I know when you're looking at a long-term care facility or nursing home, it's been recommended that you drop in at unannounced. Is that what you would recommend as well for when you're looking at different adult care centers?
Yes, but I would ask you to do that more than once because life is not a snapshot.
Right,
It is
right,
a
right.
continuum of movement and motion.
Mm-hmm.
So the day presents itself with its own activity. You can prepare and stand by, and then there's what happens. So
Right.
people are going to have good days and bad days. So I would look more for what they're doing right, because you'll find that, more than what they're doing wrong, because you'll
Okay.
find that as well. And also then gauge for yourself through experience if this is the right fit for you and your loved one.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's going to have bad days.
Well,
So-
definitely. I mean, um, I know, for example, I mean, not at the daycare center, but just on transportation for my mother. I mean, the adult daycare center was really close to where we lived. And then one day, I guess the RTD driver decided to take her out to another city during rush hour traffic. So by the time she got home, it was 5:30, 6 o'clock. And she was totally, just wiped out for the day. And the bus driver was saying, well, they had called and nobody answered. And, we all kind of seemed a little perplexed at that. Because,
that happens.
right, it does happen.
That happens.
So that's something else you need to consider if it happens more frequently. Because there was usually someone at home, like a caregiver or my father. So, yeah, we could definitely notice.
Now,
know.
that's the transportation side of it.
Right,
That's not the adult daycare side of it.
right.
So that's why I said, which is a good point you made, I appreciate that, is to find something close by,
Mm-hmm.
because anxiousness or not understanding what's happening, it can affect a person. So
Right.
not to be stuck in traffic. I mean, we get people that are 25 miles away from us that
Wow.
would love to bring their loved one in, but 25 miles in Orange County traffic can take an hour and a half. And
Yes.
that's too much on your loved one when there's other facilities right there. So it's got to
Right.
be what's practical
Mm-hmm.
and what's best for your loved one that's going to the adult day. And as far as transportation goes, if you use an outside source,
Mm-hmm.
there needs to be somebody there when they pick them up, and there needs to be someone there when they drop them off.
Oh,
Just to
yeah,
keep your loved
definitely.
ones safe.
Definitely. Yes. And I think for the most part, Mom enjoyed going because she could be involved, like you're saying, in different activities and being able to socialize with people who had dementia and could understand one another. So I think overall I was pleased with what the facility was doing, the adult daycare center. You're right, the transportation is a separate issue. But I always felt like Mom was safe. I felt like they took her needs into consideration. So like after lunch, she would take a short nap.
Mhm.
So they seem to be assisting the different clients in the adult daycare center based on their individual needs,
Mhm.
which I did really appreciate, because I think you want your loved one to have the best quality of life, and this is one way of allowing them to have that. So I appreciate what you and your facility is doing in Orange County, definitely. Explain a little bit more. I know you mentioned respite earlier. Can you explain, I guess, more about how that would be a self-care
Mm. Yeah.
um, strategy, I guess, to use when you have a loved one with dementia?
So in order for a respite for a respite for the individual that's taking care of a loved one with dementia or Alzheimer's, some form of dementia like Alzheimer's, we have to, well, excuse me, I was acting like a mom. We offer,
Okay.
we offer that they take care of themselves, because you can't provide support from an empty container. So when you take the loved one to a adult daycare center, they get to socialize. My mother-in-law went to the facility that I work at, Alzheimer's Family Center. And she thought she was going there to teach arts and crafts, because they did arts and crafts. And my mother-in-law used to own a hobby store. So it was a perfect fit for them to work with her and let her know that, oh, I'm so glad you're here. We get to do arts and crafts today. What are we going to do? You know, so we know that they're being taken care of, loved and supported. And you can go take care of the activities of daily living that you need to do. The person that's been diagnosed with some form of cognitive impairment is under doctor's care. A lot of time the caregiver is not. And what they are finding is that taking care of somebody, always putting someone first, not getting sufficient rest because you're getting up and down, taking care of them or checking on them, that they get sick or even pass away before the person they're taking care of.
I know. I've heard that like 30% of caregivers die before the one that they're caring for. I think that's a pretty amazing statistic.
I've heard 40 to 60, depending on who's doing the talk. So the whole thing is that a lot of times they put off taking care of themselves. They know they don't feel good, but who has time for me? I've got to do this. I've got to do that.
Right.
And then when they finally get to the doctor, they're in stage 4. So that's why it's important that respite care, you know, even if it's just having lunch and talking with a friend or getting your hair done or going to the grocery store and paying bills. That's one thing that you are proficient at.
Right.
But then you add another component to it, like bringing somebody with Alzheimer's and trying to manage them while you're doing your activities. It can be overwhelming. So I like to say that, you know, you cannot provide care from an empty container. So, you know, you fill yourself up first, create a team, you know, build a good team that can support you. And if anything happens to you, does a neighbor know that your loved one is going to be coming home from transportation? You know, do they know what to look for if something goes sideways? Build a team. Don't try and do it all by yourself, because it will. I like to say, it's not necessarily a doctor saying, but I like to say that stress won't cause Alzheimer's, but it invites it by opening the door to it.
Wow.
You really have to be able to manage your own mental, emotional, and physical well-being first.
Great nuggets there. Just you have to fill yourself up before you can help somebody else, because otherwise you're going to be burnt out and resentful, and it's just going to increase your stress and overwhelm. So great point. In closing, what 3 takeaways can caregivers have in terms of what adult daycare centers with dementia provide them and their loved one?
Well, 3 takeaways for the respite care.
Yes.
Not only do, you know, most people that take care of, that work in adult daycare have big hearts with legs. They have big smiles on their faces, and they welcome your loved one, and they do their best to keep them engaged and connected. So the respite for you is highly important, but the socialization for your loved one is also a blessing.
Yes.
So that is two things that the adult daycares can offer. If you can find one dementia specific where they are trained in how to take care of your loved one that's been diagnosed with dementia or any of the other 60 plus variants of that, it's more beneficial to have them in an environment that supports what they need. So it's economical. They're usually more easy on your wallet than home care, home health. Home care in California is around $35 to $40 an hour now.
Wow.
That's non-medical home care. That's just helping with your daily activities.
Mm.
And any adult daycare would probably be less than 4 hours of that. I can't speak for everyone, but based on my understanding. So it helps you with respite. It helps you with taking care of your loved one. It gives you peace of mind that you can take care of yourself while they're being taken care of. And it's economical and beneficial. The one thing that I like to say, I've heard it from many neurologists and psychologists that have spoken at our education events, is that socialization is important for everybody, not just dementia patients, but everybody. It's good to be a part of something. It's good to have friends and loving support around you. So I would say, make decisions before there's a crisis.
Yes.
Get your information before there's a need, and prepare and stand by. It's not if we get older, it's as we get older. You want to have options in place so you're not trying to gather information in the middle of a crisis.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with you. I think that many caregivers end up being a caregiver in an emergency situation, and there are times when there's no legal documents for financial support or, just medical decision making. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it.
Pick your team while you still have the capabilities of asking and assigning.
Yes.
You want to be able to, the first one that volunteers may not be the right one for the job. If your request is something that might be hard for someone to follow up with, you need to be able to put the right people in place, and then look at it often, because life changes the landscape.
Yes, definitely. Wow. A lot of great information that you shared today, Judy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you have the link for your support groups twice a week, so that if listeners would like to join your group, I think that would be really helpful. They need to have some place where they can get support, from you, our community. Any way they can get supported when they need it is what I'm all about. We're about, I think.
I like that. It's a Zoom link.
Okay.
And if it would be okay, I don't know. I'm looking right now, trying to see if I could say the link very easily, but it would be better, I think, if they call me or email me and I could send them the link.
Okay.
Is it all right if I give out my information for that?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, so my email address is easy. It's the letter J for Judy, just the abbreviation J, and then my last name Osuna, O capital S U N like Nancy A.
Okay.
J Osuna at afscenter.org. So J Osuna and the abbreviation for Alzheimer's Family Services, afscenter.org. Or if that is too much, please just call me directly at 714-840-3296. 714-840-3296.
Thank you so much, Judy. Really appreciate you coming on today and sharing about this adult daycare center with dementia focus, because I think that gives caregivers another way of looking at respite for not only for themselves, but for the person that they're caring for. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I enjoyed our talk. Thank you.
Thank you.